You may have noticed I've been doing more kids movies this year than in years past. That's because President Baby has completely given up on even the idea of napping. Now, there's nothing wrong with kids movies because you can find some gems if you look hard enough. And hopefully if he sees enough of these, Lincoln will end up liking the genre when he's older. Earlier, Deer and I took him to see his first movie in the theater and our first movie since Avengers Endgame. Lincoln watched, as he calls it, Monster Mash, or as it's more better known as, The Addams Family 2. We start with a science fair. Wednesday is showing you can make people smarter by infusing them with certain animal genes. She does that by experimenting on her Uncle Fester. While she's excited, well, as excited as Wednesday can get, she's disappointed to learn that everyone gets a first place ribbon. Then she has a small conversation with the host of the fair who's doing this thing through a hologram where she reveals her experiment was an old family secret. I already knew he was the bad guy because no one named Cyrus in these type of movies is ever a good guy. We have Cyrus Gold, better known as Solomon Grundy, Cyrus from Fear Street Part 3, Cyrus Criticos from 13 Ghosts, and finally, Cyrus from Trailer Park Boys. All bad news. Then we get some family drama and we learn that Wednesday may not be an Addams, but actually Cyrus's daughter. This is thanks to some early Fester shenanigans at the hospital nursery where she was born. Now, if you think about Cyrus's plan for any amount of time, you realize how it's almost impossible and all luck that he pulled it off. But whatever, it's not a big deal. It's a fine kids movie, but I enjoyed the original more. For starters, with a family like the Addamses, it's more fun seeing them interact with normies. In this one, they're mainly around each other as opposed to the first one where there's an entire community of people reacting to their oddball antics. My other complaint is Pugsley is pretty much a non-factor. He's really only there to get beat up by Wednesday. I understand their dynamic, but I've always liked Pugsley, and he's essentially a punching bag for the entire thing. He does have one scene where he just blows up the Grand Canyon, but if you take that out, you don't lose anything. Personally, I think it's because Finn Wolfhard is no longer playing the character because in real life his voice changed. I liked how the first one gave all the characters a chance to shine, but this one, not so much. It's really Wednesday's movie with a little bit of Gomez and Morticia thrown in. Those are the only things I disliked about it. These movies are fun, and there's a lot you can do with the family, so I imagine they'll just keep pumping them out, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's one recurring joke throughout the movie that just gets funnier each time it happens. The Addams family is going on a road trip, and they're visiting major landmarks across the country. At each one, they end up doing something destructive right as a man is proposing to his girlfriend. I chuckled the first time, but by the end of the movie, I laughed out loud. They also had this joke about Lurch being really good at piano, and I don't know why, but it will probably never not get a chuckle out of me. The final fight is also really good too. Uncle Fester is becoming more and more like an octopus throughout the movie because of Wednesday's experiment, and despite it happening earlier, no one draws any attention to it. He loses his arm pretty quick after it turns into an octopus tentacle, and no one acts like anything is wrong, even Fester. By the time we reach the end, he's more animal than man, and his fight with Cyrus is so absurd and it's just awesome. I smiled at the ridiculous spectacle I was watching. No, I'm not going to post a picture because for one, it's too difficult to explain, and two, you should really see it for yourself. I liked it. It was funny, it entertained me, and more importantly, Lincoln seemed to like it too. He did get fidgety at some moments, but for the most part, he stayed in his seat and enjoyed the movie. 7 Dr. Chainsaws.